Hi, Annie. My boyfriend stopped talking to me because I told him to stop shouting at me whenever he gets angry or irritated. He's a hot-tempered person. I've always known him to be that way. But shouldn't he be able to calm down for his babe? He shouts, gets angry for little things, and then starts talking to me rudely. It's not like I'm innocent. I'm sure I do things that annoy him, but I try not to disrespect him because he doesn't do the same for me. He has been rude to me in front of his friends before, and I was very embarrassed. So the last time we were discussing me going for my master's, he was on the phone as I was telling him some important details. So I told him he wasn't listening to me, and he said I should continue talking because he's using his ears to hear me, not his eyes. That was rude, but I kept talking. Then he started watching a skit and was laughing, so I pulled the phone out of his hand playfully. The next thing, he got so irritated at me as if I did one very big thing. I was trying to talk to him. He was giving me attitude. So I told him that I'm tired of him treating me as if I'm disturbing him, and that if he continues to shout at me and be rude to me, I will leave the relationship. This is not the first time that we have had this argument. Can you imagine this boy? Can you imagine this boy said, I should go if I want to go? I'm sorry. Can you imagine this boy said I should go if I want to go because I have always known he has a bad temper and that I am trying to control him and change him. I don't want to lose my relationship, but since he told me that, I feel like me staying would mean I am okay with the disrespect, which I am not. We haven't really been talking since that day. So as I'm talking to you now, I don't know if I am still in a relationship. Let's get into today's episode.
Does she like me? Was that a date or a hang? Is she single? Wait, what are we? Is it too soon to say I love you? Should I call him now or should I just wait? Maybe I should wait. Wait, should I let her go? Why did he just ghost me like that? Wait, can't we work it out? Is he an F-boy? Is she toxic? We hooked up. Why is he saying we're just friends? Let's face it. Relationships are the best thing when they work and a nightmare when they flop. You're recklessly giddy when Cupid's arrow sticks you in the ass and a nervous, pain-filled wreck when he comes to take his love away. There's hardly anyone who cannot relate to the dizzying highs and debilitating lows of relationships. We are naturally wired for connection, so when that's messed with, it can make us feel crazy. Enter BamBAEzled. On this show, we help you figure out if you are being bamboozled by your bae. That's it. Nothing else, nothing fancy, just a real, raw, honest to heavens, and hopefully helpful take on the best to the worst of relationships and everything on the spectrum in between. No topic is off limits, no situation is too taboo or embarrassing. Give us everything. So, if you're wondering if you're being bamboozled by your bae, don't walk, run here. This is your new home. I am your new bestie, and I've got you. Now, let's figure out if you're being BamBAEzled.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Thank you for sticking with us. Right, I'm going to try to make this one under 30 minutes. Let's try. I don't think I'm going to succeed, but we're going to try. You never ever come to the point in your life where you're like, oh, I'm all good, I'm solid. I will never ever miss the mark when it comes to expressing your emotions. It's something you have to be very intentional about and mindful of, because if you allow yourself free rein, you'll do things that you won't be proud of, things that you'll regret, things that you cannot undo. You'll say things that you cannot take back, and cause damage that you really honestly can't repair, right? So I just wanted to say that with regards to your boyfriend who says that he's just got a bad temper, excuse me, and that is the reason why he is disrespectful and rude to you. Okay, so now let's go into the discussion for you, because you guys know that when you write me, the messages I get in my DMs, the messages I get in my email, it's unlikely that I'm going to bash the other person. It's unlikely. Why? Because you can't control people. And honestly, your focus should not be other people. Your focus should be yourself. If you get it right here, if you get it right here, I'm telling you that life will reflect what is on the inside of you. And it doesn't mean that there are no bad people in the world. What it means is that because you have done the work on yourself inside here, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I need to say this. Because you've done the work on yourself inside here, when you meet the people who don't reflect that, who don't resonate with that, who don't speak to that, who don't meet you at that level, you will dispose of them quickly and you will move on, right? As opposed to staying inside there. And because what we say when we're like, oh, this person is bad, this person is mistreating me, this person is abusing me, this person is da da da, you're staying. You're staying. And this is not a lack of empathy on my part. It's something I've had to learn. I've learned by fire. And if someone is treating you badly, they've got their part to blame. They've got their part in the blame. But if you're being treated badly consistently, then the blame is now on you because of that consistently, because you stayed for it to continue. Okay, so the fear of abandonment will have us staying in situations where we are being misused. So for the purpose of this episode, the analogy that we're going to be working with is, I like to think of partnership, relationships, as a car and a driver, right? Okay. Each person in the relationship is both the vehicle and the driver. Let me explain. I am the car to my partner. He drives me, and my partner is my car that I drive. Okay? For the purpose of this analogy. Now, what seems to happen in a lot of relationships where, if I don't adjust this chair, we haven't started work. So what seems to happen in a lot of relationships that are tumultuous or difficult is that many of us are purchasing or finding ourselves somehow in ownership of vehicles that we have not trained ourselves to drive. We haven't taken the time to go to driving school or take driving lessons. We haven't gotten versed and skilled at maneuvering the car, learning what the car engine is supposed to do, learning all the different bits and bobs about a vehicle so that you know when it's working and when it's not. You know when it needs to be checked. You know when it needs to be serviced. You know what it sounds like when there's air coming out of the tire. You know when the alignment is off. All that sort of thing. Like a lot of us, we just enter a car and we start to push it and we're on the road and the car is moving quite all right, but doesn't make us drivers. It doesn't make you a driver. In fact, let me tell a quick story here. Nobody taught me how to drive because stubborn head made me, I was very impatient because my dad had it set up that once you get to a certain age, they would attach you to a driver and the driver would teach you how to drive. That's if my dad himself wasn't available. So the driver would teach you how to drive. And it happened for my older sister. And I was impatient. I just thought, this is easy. You can do this. What's there? And so every time my dad would be driving or the driver would be driving, nobody knew that I was secretly looking at the things that he was doing or they were doing. And so I essentially taught myself to drive. I wasn't taught how to drive. Now, this is not a flex. It's not a good thing because my younger sister, exceptional driver. My sisters are exceptional drivers. Of all of us, but I'm the worst driver. They are skilled at driving because they took the time to learn the skill. You can never master a skill if you do not put the time and the work in. You can appear to be able to do a thing, but when push comes to shove and when it comes down to the meat and bones of that thing, it will be obvious that you do not know the rudiments of that skill or that endeavor or what have you. No matter how expensive, beautiful, efficient, perfect that car is, if you do not understand the rudiments of that vehicle and how it's supposed to be used, you will misuse it. And in your misuse of it, it will lose effectiveness. And then most of us, when we misuse each other, we blame the other person and say, yeah, that person is defective. Yeah, that person is a narcissist. Yeah, that person is bad. Yeah, and again, I didn't just gloss over narcissism. I know it's a huge thing. It's a very dangerous thing. It affects so many people's lives. But I also think that a lot of us are diagnosing people when we don't have any right to do so. One, two, there's a lot of things that look like narcissism, but it takes a professional to be able to decipher what is what, right? However, that being said, if you're in a relationship with someone who makes you feel like shit, narcissist or not, you have no business being there. You have no business being there because you're not shit. You're not shit. So if a person doesn't make you feel like the very best that you can or that you are, get the heck out. What are you doing there? So that's just an aside. So whose responsibility is it to know how to use their car? The car or the driver? I think we already know the answer. It is the driver's responsibility. It is the car owner's responsibility to know how to use the car that they have purchased or that they are in possession of. It is not the car's responsibility to know how to be used. In the putting together of that vehicle, everything that it is supposed to do has been done. This is the way that relationships work. It is each partner's responsibility to know their partner properly. But not just knowing their partner as an individual properly. They also need to understand themselves properly. It is our job to know how to handle people. So you must know how to handle your person. But to know how to handle your person, you must first have acquired the skill of knowing how to handle people. Because if you don't know how to handle people, how do you learn? How do you do the deeper, grittier, more difficult, more challenging, more frustrating job of knowing your own individual person for everything that they are, good and bad, everything in between? You know, we said we're going to be talking about the fear of abandonment. Let me put it to you this way. And you can answer privately and you can answer in the comments. I look forward to when we start having lots of comments on these videos. If you buy an expensive, beautiful, I'm a fan of Mercedes myself. That's my dad's fault. That's my dad's favorite car, and I inherited the love for Mercedes from my dad. Shout out, Daddy. If you go and spend your hard-earned, even if it wasn't hard-earned, you go spend your money and you get yourself this beautiful baby, this gorgeous Merc, and you love that car because it not only did it cost you a pretty penny, I mean, it's a beautiful car. It's a fantastic machine. It runs well. It sounds so sexy. And you know, it hits all the notes for what you want in a vehicle. Then you have a friend, even let's say not even a friend, even a sister or brother, someone super close to you that you love with all your heart. You love this person to death. And this person needs a car and they say, oh, I need a car. Can I, use your car? And you say, oh yeah, sure, definitely. Are you kidding? I love you so much. Of course you can use my car. And you go and give them the car and you park the car. Tell them you can even park it in your house. Use it for as much as you want. When I need it, I'll come and get it, right? Then when you come to visit your person who you've given your car to, When you come the first week, you see that there's a scratch on the body. The body that you give to them, pes, very clean and neat. There's a scratch all the way from the hood to the trunk. Okay, then you don't say anything. Why? Because you love this person, right? And so you say, "Oh no, I'm calling, because I love you." No, it's fine. I'll fix the scratch. And the next time you come, you see that the side mirrors, one of them is hanging. He's holding on for dear life. It's literally just hanging on the line. It's just hanging there because obviously it's been broken off. And you say, "Oh no, but I love this person. I love this person. I really love this person, and I really want them to use this car." And you go, then you come back again. The third time you come back, you find that the tires are flat and there's no air in the tires. And you love them and you leave it with them, and you go and come back, and then you find that there's no gas in the tank and the trunk doesn't shut anymore. You have to bang it, something that would close automatically. Now you have to boom, wah, jump on it before the thing now closes. Let me ask you something. At what point do you think that you will come to that person's house and say, yeah, sir. Please give me my car back. Give me before you destroy it. At what point will you wait until you go there and there are no tires, there's no windshield, both hood and trunk are standing up and saluting because they cannot close anymore. There's smoke coming out of the engine. The check engine light has beeped so much that it is now permanently on. Well, at what point are you going to say, "It's enough, can I have my property back"? Those of us who have stayed or who are in relationships with people who mistreat us and misuse us, that is the analogy I want you to have going forward. Just keep that visual in your mind and ask yourself, at what point is it enough? At what point, what point of the destruction of myself is enough that I'll say, okay, I think I should take myself back now and preserve myself, since this person clearly does not know what to do with me. Let's go ahead. So you have to know how to drive the car that is your partner. And when you do, the car, your person, will serve you efficiently. If you don't, the engine of your car will knock. If I have people who listen to me from outside of Nigeria, Nigerians know what engine knock means. If you are not Nigerian and you don't understand, it means that your engine is going to be totaled essentially, and you have to get a new engine. That is when your relationship looks like it has stalled. It has stalled because the car can no longer move, because it has been so misused that since no one was listening when it was beeping, check engine, the car kukuma said, "Ato, let me kukuma spoil," because nobody is taking care of me. And that's what it looks like when you have a relationship that's going nowhere. It has stalled. It's like a dead-end relationship. You and your partner are like roommates in the house, and at some point degenerate, from roommates to being housemates that fight and beat up each other, or are cold to one another, give each other the silent treatment, talk shit about one another, gaslight one another. You did something, the person accused you, say, "I never did it." When you love someone, there are certain things you cannot do to them, even if it's something that you normally do. Because of love, you will not be able to do it to that person. And that is one of the best benefits of love, is how it forces the person who it has inhabited, it forces you to grow past your present level. That's why you see a man in love, a woman in love, they say, "Oh, I've never done this before. I would never do this on a normal occasion. But there's something about this woman, there's something about this man that just makes me want to do and be the best for this person." That's what love does. So, In your case, and this is true for many, many women and men, you have a partner or a person in your life that has refused to read the manual of your vehicle. And that person still insists on driving you. They have refused to go to driving school. They have refused to sit under the tutelage of someone who knows how to drive, to say, okay, I won't go to driving school, I won't take driver's ed, or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to, but I'm going to drive anyway. They refuse to say, oh, hey, daddy, will you come and teach me how to drive? Mommy, will you teach me how to drive? Big brother, big sister, big friend, big uncle, whatever. So they refuse to sit under anybody's tutelage so that they can learn from the person. They have also refused to look at their own mistakes since they have said, okay, I will do it by myself. They've refused to look at their own mistakes in the course of trying to learn this on their own without any guidance. And they refuse to correct those mistakes, but you still want to drive. And so you are driving your partner into a state of destruction because you do not know what to do with them. You have refused to learn how this woman functions. You have refused to listen to this man when he says, hey, babe, when I'm talking, it confuses me when I'm talking, and you jump into the statement I'm making and you don't let me finish what I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm not going to listen to you, but you ask me to listen, but you don't listen. There are so many men that have that complaint and they don't even say it because they feel, what's the freaking point? As I'm trying to make the point that she doesn't listen to me, she's not going to listen. She's going to interrupt me and say, I don't listen because you didn't. Each time this person who has refused to learn how to drive gets into your driver's seat, they cause a bit more damage to the engine, to the car, because they don't know what they're doing. And this is where you, as the vehicle, have to find a way to save yourself. If you've told someone, look, when you shout and yell at me, I don't like it. You can communicate whatever it is you're trying to say to me without yelling. Because when you yell, it makes me feel small. It makes me feel disrespected. And if you want me to respect you, it puts that in jeopardy, because if you're not respecting me, why should I respect you? If you have clearly communicated that boundary to your partner, and in spite of saying, this is the very thing that hurts me, and then that is the very thing that that person does, they are telling you everything you need to know. Now, am I saying break up? I have no right to tell anybody to be or to not to be with, or not to be with another person. But I am telling you, what obtains. If there is something that your partner is aware of in terms of you as a person, that this thing hurts you, it breaks you, causes you sadness, causes you pain, causes you unrest, the person that you are partnered with should be someone who is as in love with you as you are with them. There are certain things that love instructs us to do. We will do it in spite of ourselves. Empathy, kindness is one of those things. And kindness does not mean I give you anything you want, you give me anything I want. No, sometimes kindness is strict. Kindness is discipline. Kindness is no. But the no from a kind heart is like, there's a way it's still sweet, because you know that this person has the best intentions towards you, and their no is not to hurt you, their no is to heal you, their no is to help you. So when you're in the relationship with a person that you're either not supposed to be with forever ever, or not supposed to be with at the time, because there's work that you need to do on yourself, or there's work they need to do on themselves, or both, your bodies, your minds, the situation, it gives warning signs. It actually does. It actually does. Nothing is wrong with fighting, but there's a level of fighting that is so unhealthy and is a sign that you and this person are not compatible. Now, in the discussion of compatibility, one of the things that I hope we get a chance to discuss are something called attachment attachment theory. In attachment theory, there are, I think, 3 or 4 basic attachment styles. You have your secure attachment style, you've got your avoidant attachment style, you've got your anxious attachment, and you've got your fearful or disorganized attachment style. I can't go into it. If not, this video will be 3 hours long, and I'll do that on another video. But very often, you have an avoidant person, that is someone who runs away from emotional things, and an anxious person who is afraid of being run away from. You have them in partnership. And it just makes, and if these people are not self-aware of their particular attachment styles and how it makes them show up in the space of relating with people, it's a perfect recipe for disaster. Perfect recipe for disaster. You're going to have this person who is afraid of being run away from, constantly chasing this person that is running away. And this putting it in very layman's terms. And so the thing that this person is most afraid of is the very thing that this person is. And the thing that this person is most afraid of is the very thing that this person is. But they are in partnership. But are they really? Because they might be in partnership, but they're also at loggerheads. And so there's a lot of understanding, studying. Oh, excuse me, I just shifted this camera and I hope it's still focused. There's a lot of studying and work, self-understanding that goes into being the sort of person who should be in a relationship. Not everybody should be in a relationship, and I'm saying it with my full chest, because you don't know what to do with yourself, much less another person. And if you're not skilled at humaning, you're going to go into a relationship and destroy another person, or turn them into someone who will destroy you, because you both have become so emotionally volatile. In a case where someone is, mistreating you or mishandling you, you don't disappear immediately. You give out warning signs. Basically, these warning signs are your check engine signs. It's like check the engine, check the engine. They are essentially to signal to your partner that there are problems, or problem is coming, or if we keep going like this, some problem is going to happen. Oh, I am still here. The car is still moving. It is still starting. It is still getting you from point A to point B. But if we continue driving it like this engine will stall. So you give out warning signs. Those are the conversations you try to have. Those are some of the fights that you have, or the conversations that turn into fights. Those are the times when you people usually sleep and you have your legs intertwined. All of a sudden, you people are sleeping, backing one another, and everybody's like, This is when the guy says, if I talk now, it's just going to turn into fight. And he's essentially giving up and quitting on the inside, because he feels like no matter what I do, it's not going to be good enough. I can't get through to this woman. This is the woman saying, this man is just selfish and only thinks about himself, and he doesn't listen to what I'm saying. But you cannot stay in a place of constantly giving warning signs. It's not even possible. At some point, what is supposed to be a warning sign will be the car stalling. It's going to happen naturally. There is never a situation anywhere in life, and you can check all across life. I think it's a rule of life. What you water grows. What you neglect dies. Now, neglect and a time of silence or quiet are not the same thing. So don't say, oh, so are you saying I have to be on top of my wife 24/7? I have to be on top of my boyfriend 24/7. I can't take time for myself. I can't take time away. I can't get angry. That's not what I'm saying. Neglect is different. If you need to take time away from someone because you care about them, you tell them, oh, I need to take time away. That is not neglect. That is maturity. But if a person tells you, when I don't hear from you in a day, in 24 hours, it makes me worried. It makes me scared. It makes me anxious. And then that is when that person says, okay, very good. They will hear from me for 3 days. That is neglect. It's abusive. And it's immature and childish. Right? If you don't want a person, what are you doing with them? What are you doing with them? I'm just going to take a quick minute and say this. We're so careless with one another. And social media has made us think that human beings are replaceable. And if I misuse this one that I have in my hand, I throw them away, I'm just going to pick up another one. You would be surprised how not easy it is to meet good people or find good people anymore. You would be surprised that because of the way the world is set up, people have become more selfish, more self-centered, more self-serving. They're not particularly looking out for their partner or person or anybody else. They only want to be in situations that serve them. And as long as you serve them, they're happy to be with you. And if you don't serve them, they're going to dump you and move to the man or the woman that serves them. But you have social media making us think that, oh, I've got this good girl, but I'm bored because she's too good to me. I have this good guy, but I mean, he's just always there for me. He's just always like, gives me everything I want. I just kind of feel bored. I want someone who will make me feel like I'm alive. Upper Week's episode is going to be about that. I'm telling you. A lot of us are talking about calling our types, calling our trauma our types. That's my type. It's actually your trauma. Yeah. And you think that if you throw this person away, you're just going to go outside and find another person like them or better than them until you throw them away. And then you find out, hey, wait. All right, now we're going to move to the next part of what we're talking about. How to be with our specific person. Learn this person. Learn them. Take the time to learn them. Don't rush anywhere. I'll tell you that the relationships I've rushed into, they've all been absolute disasters because I was running with my eyes closed. You have no business rushing into a relationship. If you're going to end up with this person, you're going to end up with them anyway. So what is the rush? What is the rush? You meet someone, first date, second date, you guys already had sex. First date, second date, you are living together. First date, second date, you are exclusive. Now, I'm not saying that this is it's a one size fits all, but I am saying that there are some things that can only happen with the benefit of time spent. You cannot know this person without spending time with them, and you cannot rush time. So the fact that they are wonderful now, the fact that they're amazing now, the fact that they're lovely and beautiful and all that stuff, in the moment that you met them, you haven't gotten the chance to see them in a different season. You haven't gotten the chance to see them under different circumstances. You haven't gotten a chance to see this person when they are broke. How do they respond to themselves and to other people when they don't have money? How do they respond to you when you are in pain? What level of emotional maturity does this person have? So that I know whether my emotions are safe with them or not. It's not just the sweet things that they tell you on the phone when you guys are on the talking stage, talking from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. in the morning. That's love bombing. A lot of us are love bombers. I've love bombed before. Because the rush of hormones that come over us when we are attracted to someone, it's exciting. And it pushes us to go full throttle. But emotional maturity, discernment, and having a firm grip on yourself and your identity as a person, that is what will pump the brakes. So as much as you like this person, as much as you're excited by them, as much as you want to see them every day, discernment and having a vision for your life and knowing where you're going, and knowing that it's not necessarily about how much you like this person, but it is about how much this person aligns and fits into your purpose, your goal, the reason that you are here. It's not just about sex and vibes and the person is fine. Does this person fit into what God has designed for my life, where I'm going, what I'm doing, where I'm supposed to be? And do I fit into theirs? Because if that is a no, it's a no. If that part or the top, which is the most important thing, is a no, it's a no all the way down. It does not matter how you try to flip it. You guys are still going to land in problem. Bringing another human being into your life, into the space, the atmosphere of your life, you only have one of it all. It's something that you should take seriously. It's it's not something that you should be frivolous about or flippant about. But that's what we're currently doing. Because the sex is good, because the guy is fine, because the girl is sexy and hot, because the man is rich. We're making stupid decisions and taking someone away from the person they're actually supposed to be with and keeping ourselves away from the person that we're actually supposed to be with because our discernment is short and our pride is on an all-time high where we think we know everything and we think we're going to get it right because we know exactly what we're doing. And we refuse to go to driving school. We refuse to sit under anyone's tutelage. And we refuse to learn from our mistakes. So we started this talking about a fear of abandonment. And this is where we're coming full circle now. One of the things a fear of abandonment will have you doing is it will have you have very porous boundaries or no boundaries at all. Boundaries is a conversation that we must have, especially us as Nigerians. Many people weren't taught the importance of boundaries. When you stand up for yourself, the people who have the right intentions for you will not hold offense. They may take offense, which they actually shouldn't, but that's a bigger conversation. But even if they take offense, understanding and maturity and discernment will let them know that this person is sharing their boundary with me because they want to remain in relationship with me. And they are essentially telling me, if I do this thing, if I keep doing this thing, it will jeopardize the strength and longevity and quality of our relationship. When a person takes the time to express a boundary, it is because they want that relationship to remain. It's not because they're trying to control you. Now, it's a different thing if a person says, your boundary crosses my boundary. And this is why it is important that people know themselves before you try to make an attempt to know another person. Now, if that person knows themselves and know their boundary, and I know myself and I know my boundary, for instance, I believe that there's a certain level of friendship where if I cannot be there for you, I'm not your friend. If I cannot be there for you, no matter how inconvenient it is for me, that's not for every friendship. That's for a certain level. I question whether I am actually your friend or not. Now, if I am friends with someone who doesn't allow me to be there for them, that is something I don't know how to deal with. Now, if that person's boundary is that I don't need anyone to be there for me, just for example, you can see by just them knowing themselves and me knowing myself, we can both come to a mature decision to say, I can say, maybe this is not the kind of friendship that I can flourish in and that this person can flourish in. If a person decides to discard you, throw you away, or walk away, or remove you from their life, or remove themselves from your life, because you said, hey, listen, when you do this thing, it hurts me. Stop it. If you do this thing again, I will leave, or whatever. And they said, go now. Or they continue to do it to see if you will actually leave. Leave. I'm telling you, love does not live where someone is intentionally poking at you. There's no love there. You can prank people and play tricks on your partner. That's different. When you're playing with one another, that's different. But when someone knows the thing that hurts you the most, and that is the thing they go for, there is no love there. And there is no love in that person. So believe me, it's not about you. That person doesn't even love themselves. With love, your hands are open. With selfishness, they are closed. And so when a person is selfish and self-centered and all of those things, you think, oh, they only love themselves. Believe me, they don't even love themselves. And because they don't love themselves, they don't know how to love you. They can't love another person. They might buy you things, take you places, all that stuff. but there's an appearance of love. The person who cannot drive your car, who cannot drive you, the partner who cannot be with you, who cannot take care of you and treat you properly, they're not necessarily a bad person. I try to run away from, it's something I'm learning now. I used to be quite a black and white thinker, but that's not a mature way to think. It's just you can't do that in life because life is rarely ever black and white, black or white, rarely ever, right? So the fact that they don't know what to do with you and they're refusing to learn what to do with you doesn't make them a bad person, not necessarily. But it does mean that they haven't learned how to drive a car properly. And they need to go and learn without you. So you're not going to, good, how many of those driving school cars that they give the learners to drive? Those cars are, when I see some of them on the road, I'm like, what is this? They are rickety, ramshackle, old, dead cars. They do that because if you crash the car, it's something they can quickly fix. In fact, they probably don't even need to fix it because the car is 2 steps on its way to dying, to being scrap metal. You don't see anybody in a driving school being given a Porsche to use for their driving lessons. Not unless you're those brother. I don't know. Like, you don't. So they give you a car that they can afford to destroy as a sacrifice for you to learn the skill. Now that tells you that with learning comes sacrifice. You cannot learn without sacrifice. You will sacrifice your time. You will sacrifice some of your pleasure. You will sacrifice, if you watch TV for 10 hours, you will sacrifice 5 of those hours to learn. Learning requires sacrifice. And that's something that we don't really want to hear, but it's the truth. Sitting down recording this, I would much rather be in my bed, watching TV, snacking on something. I would much rather. But if I don't sacrifice and come and sit here and set up this camera, it takes hours to set up my camera. Hours. And even after that, I'm not still happy with what it looks like. But if I keep trying to set it up, frustration will not allow me to do the work. And I'm not going to let myself not do the work. Learning requires sacrifice. Growth requires sacrifice. You see, sorry, the image is going to look much different because my camera battery went out and I didn't want to not finish the episode. And so we're going to finish this episode. So they are not necessarily a bad person, but, and this is a very significant but, it does mean that they haven't learned how to drive a car properly and need to do so. They need to go and learn how to drive before they can be granted access to your vehicle again. Period. Most of us don't express boundaries. We don't, because we're afraid that if we do, this person will leave. We're afraid that if we say, don't do this thing, I don't like it, this person will be angry with us. We learned that fear. Let me tell you where we learned that fear from. When you grow up in an environment, we are going right back to childhood. When you grow up in an environment or you live in an environment where people are extremely critical, difficult or impossible to please, make you jump through hoops for their approval. They give their approval out like rations in a famine, and they withdraw it when they want to make you feel that you can lose this thing at any time, so that you will do more to keep it. Yes, parents do this to their kids. Siblings do this to one another. People do it. If your parent is a person, they can do it. Now, when you grow up or are exposed to environments like those, and this is not an exhaustive list, there's still other situations that cause us to be afraid of being left. Essentially, what I'm saying is the fear of abandonment comes from the experience of abandonment. Abandonment does not mean they moved out of the house and left you to live there by yourself. No. Abandonment is as simple but complex as when you displeased your parent, they stopped talking to you. They gave you the silent treatment. Many of us use the silent treatment on others because it was used on us. And we know the effect it had on us. And if we want to be honest, we want it to have the same effect on that other person because it controlled us. And because we haven't learned the mature ways to be with other people, we think that the way to be with a person is to control them because that was the example that was mirrored for us. And so, in the absence of control, you feel insecure. And so, you need to find a way to exert that control. And one of the ways you learned from your mother or your father or your sibling was withdraw love, withdraw approval, criticize, be difficult to please. Be the person that everybody's always jumping around to manage. Like, oh, let mommy be happy. Oh, let mommy be happy. Oh, let mommy not be angry. Oh, let daddy not be angry. Oh, let. And everybody's life is centered around your own life. That is how people become afraid. In fact, first of all, that's how people learn not to have any boundaries. Because if you grow up in a household like that, you can't say no. So the thing that you were afraid would happen happened. You said no. You said, I won't be treated like this. You said, I'm done with this relationship. If this relationship has to be like this, then count me out. I'm not going to be in it. If you won't work on yourself, if you won't change, if you won't all of that stuff, please just go your way. Let me go my way. And you were hoping that the person would say, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm going to do better. That would have been ideal. But what happened was that the person said, hey, go now. My sister, go now. Go now. Eh? Are you kidding? Somebody literally gave you expo that is going to save your life. You don't want to be with somebody who is contemptuous towards you. And you don't want to be with somebody who tries to break your self-esteem with the way they treat you. What we don't hold with regard, we will never treat properly. You're never going to get this person to treat you properly because they don't see you as someone worth being treated properly. Do you understand what I'm saying? If they tell you, I don't see you as someone worthy of good treatment, please let them tell you once. Don't be like some of us who have let people tell that to us multiple times before we got the message. Hear it once, that's enough. Oh, I'm not good enough for you. Is that what you think? Okay, you're entitled to that. I think differently, and because our thoughts don't align, deuces. And I know it's difficult, especially when you love the person. Love, like I said, love makes you want, it's expansive. Love forgives a lot, it takes a lot. But the same way love fights for the other person, the person that you love, if there is love inside you, that love inside you will fight for you too. And so if you're not fighting for yourself, the question is, do you love yourself? So they've left you. You feel awful. You are sad. You are afraid. Part of you wants to run back to them. Part of you is like, what am I? Why did I? Oh, maybe I'm not really worth that much. If this person could just leave me, or could just, tell me to go or whatever. And because of all those painful feelings, the broken part of you, the part that is not still fully healed, is telling you, soften the boundary, soften the boundary, soften the boundary. I mean, it's not that big a deal. If this guy yells at you in front of his friends, it's not that big a deal. At least you're in a relationship. At least he doesn't hit me. At least. Relationship is not for at least. No at leasts. Compromise, yes. Sacrifice, yes. But burning yourself at the stake for your relationship, absolutely 1000% no. 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 So feel those feelings. Feel the fear, feel the anxiety, feel all of it, and remain in the decision that you have made. That if this person will not treat me as I deserve to be treated, then their access to me is denied. End of story. Your person, if they mistreat you, they only need one time for you to show them that this thing you did is causing me pain. And a real man, a good woman, they will take that information you have given them and they will say, thank you, leave the rest to me. And they will go and work on themselves to make sure that you will never have to have that conversation with them again. That they will never make you cry because of this particular thing. You might cry for something else. But for this particular one, I won't put this woman through this again. I won't put this man through this again. Because I love him. And I'm not perfect, so I'm going to hurt him. But once I know I've hurt him, I'm going to correct so that I don't hurt him in this way again. Because what happens when you continue to hurt a person, you are etching away at the solidity and the strength of that relationship. And one day, one small thing you will do, small, tiny thing, it's going to come crashing down. That other person is going to be like, I've had it. I've had it. I've had it. Please don't soften the boundary. I'm going to repeat myself. The only condition that grants this person access to you to drive your car again is if by the time they have come back, they have shown you evidence, consistent evidence that they now know how to drive, that they understand what a car is and how it is to be used, and when to check the engine, the oil in the engine, and when to change the water in the car, and when to put air in the tires, and not to let the fuel go below half tank, because even though in this Nigerian economy, but to make sure that that car is never driving on reserve, to make sure that it's always washed and cleaned and taken care of. That is the only condition that access to them is granted. You did exactly what you were supposed to do. You showed yourself, probably maybe for the first time in your life, hey, hold on, I matter too. I matter. I'm deserving of love and kindness and empathy and respect. Those things are not things you talk about. You show that. You live that. And how do you live that? When those things are absent, so are you. When love, respect, empathy, kindness, when they are out of the equation, you are also out of the equation. Point blank, period. If they left, the exact right thing happened. Because you don't want to be with someone who will leave because you asked for something that is good for you. You don't want to be with someone like that. You don't. Because essentially that person doesn't want what is good for you. You want someone who will drive your car respectfully, with empathy, with kindness, with knowledge, with skill, and that will do everything in their power to ensure the longevity and efficiency of your vehicle. Okay, here are a list of suggestions. Number 1, I'm not kidding. Clap for yourself. You did the right thing. you did the right thing. And you should be very proud of yourself for having the courage and self-love that it takes to be the biggest voice in your corner. It's amazing to have people in your corner. I'm telling you, there's nothing like it. But the only thing that trumps having people in your corner is when you look in your corner and you see that you are there. You are there for yourself. You believe in yourself. You trust yourself. You love yourself. You ride hard for yourself. Number 2, and this is for the drivers. You need to go and learn to drive from scratch. Yes, you do. You weren't taught properly, but you can learn again if you choose to. Instead of driving and tossing cars every year, every month, every 3 months, or however long it takes for people to fall out of relationship with you or you to fall out of relationship with people, instead of doing that and gaining a reputation for being an irresponsible driver and being the problem, because if every car is leaving you, if every car is spoiling in your hand, it's not the cars, my friend, it's you, right? So before you gain that reputation for being the person that's the problem, you need to go and learn how to drive again. You do. You can teach yourself, and you can learn from people, you can learn from YouTube, you can learn from books, you can learn from God, you can learn from people who you admire, who seem to know how to handle relationships properly. Ask them questions, observe how they handle people, and mirror that. You can retrain your brain. It'll be a bit hard because change is difficult, but it is doable. Okay, number 3. Move on with your life when people put you out of theirs. Yes. Listen, you have no business whatsoever hanging around a person or people who have clearly shown you, consistently shown you, even if the showing you was subtle and covert. If people have shown you that they don't want you there, or that your being with them is dependent on you abandoning yourself or allowing yourself to be mishandled and mistreated, you have no business being there. Please don't confuse yourself and say, I love them. Like I said earlier, for you to love a person, there must be love inside of you. And if there's love inside of you, the same way that love fights for that person, that love will fight for you too. And it will tell you, no. I love you too much for you to go through this. Since your partner is not telling you that, the love you have for yourself will tell you that. It should. Move on with your life. Move on so that you can find the person and people who tell you, I want to know what your boundaries are so that I know where not to hurt you. Because my intention for being in your life is not to bring you pain, suffering, or sorrow. It doesn't mean that I won't hurt you, but it means that I won't intentionally do it. And when I do it, I will find a way to correct it. Those are the people that you want to find. Those are the people that you fight for. Those are the people who you say, you know what, even if there's a crack, even if there's a bit of a dry spell, even if there's a bit of confusion or we have squabbles or whatever, this is the person I'm fighting for, because this person doesn't fight me, they fight the problem. Number 4, continue learning about yourself and continue creating more boundaries. Yes. This is the way you teach your mind that you are on its side. You see, your mind is running in circles now, saying, oh, what did I do? Oh, the person left. Oh, if I was good enough, when I told them, if they don't treat me well, I will leave. And they said I should go now. That means all those things running through your mind, it's not actually you. It is the conditioning and the programming that you have and that you've picked up along the way up to whatever point, from all the time you've been alive up to this point that you're at now, where people have mistreated you and there was no justice for you, when people have rejected you and the only way you could have them is if you chased them, there where people have mishandled you and nobody came to your rescue. Essentially, the experiences that you have had have taught you or have tried to teach you that you don't matter enough. And now you have taken on that belief and you have made it yours. And God, the Bible says, as a man thinketh or believeth in his heart, so is he. So whatever you believe, so shall it be unto you. And so if you believe that you are not worthy of good treatment, you will continue to live in states and with people who don't treat you well. And you will continue finding reasons and excuses for why you should be there. And until you learn yourself for yourself, you learn you for you, learn who you are, learn what you're worth, which is everything, by the way. You won't be able to ask for more or expect more from anyone else. So, learning yourself, learning the things that you will take and will not take, is how you teach your mind that, see, I'm finally here and I'm finally on our side. I'm finally on here for us. I'm not abandoning us anymore. Remember, a fear of abandonment comes from abandonment. And even though you are abandoned, which is what put the fear of abandonment in you, it made you abandon yourself so that other people won't abandon you. But because what you believe is what you are, because you have abandoned yourself, you attract people who will continue to abandon you. The fear of abandonment will leave you, will have you being alone, even if you're in a relationship. Because if you're afraid to be left, you will never ever fully enjoy your relationship. You won't express yourself. You won't say what you need. You won't say what you're not happy with because you don't want to be left. But doesn't mean that you're happy. So you're still alone. And as long as you have abandoned yourself, even if you have 20 boyfriends or 20 girlfriends at the same time, you are still all alone. And that is the real cry inside your heart. That's actually what is speaking to you. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming to spend this time here with me today. We may not have been taught that we are fully whole and deserving of love and respect no matter what, but we are. We are. While it is not our fault that we weren't taught these things as children, or we lost this knowledge along the way, it is our responsibility now to learn this truth as adults and practice it consistently. Boundaries are a sign of self-respect. Don't throw yours away. I hope that these thoughts have been somewhat helpful for you. And if they have, I ask that you please share them with someone who you think will benefit from them as well. If you have a story that you would like to share, please write me at BamBAEzled@gmail.com. BamBAEzled is spelled BamBAEzled@gmail.com. Many of you are still sending me DMs, which is fine. If that is preferable, go ahead. And send in your stories. Like I said in the last episode, I believe that these stories are helping people. So we're doing this good work together. We will resume our live show on Saturday. So this Saturday, we're going to meet on Instagram Live and we're going to talk about today's topic and probably talk about last week's topic as well, because we didn't do any Instagram Live for last week's episode. And so we're going to collapse them both and do an Instagram Live about both of them. Please come with your questions, your comments, your suggestions. Like I said, these stories are helping people, but your opinions also can help. So let's do it together. We'll meet each other on Saturday by 7 p.m. Yes. It is important that I say that BamBAEzled is not a substitute for professional medical or mental health advice. If you would like to speak with a mental health or medical professional, I advise that you do that. What we do on this show is we share opinions, we share our thoughts, our experiences, our ideas, in the hope that they help other people. But it is not a substitute for professional medical or mental health advice. Please do not treat it as such. All right, you know what time it is? Sign off with me. We made it to the end of this episode and I did it without pulling my hair out. All right, sign off with me. In life, we can always do better or we can do worse. Let us try to find ourselves in the former more than we find ourselves in the latter. Stay safe out there in these relationship streets. Make sure that you are not being bamboozled or bamboozling bae. I will see you again in the next episode. Until then, please let love lead you always. Bye for now.